So, this is a interesting and powerful topic. What is it that you should do when people keep letting you down? And you're going to find that just unintentionally, of course, that it might happen that you're constantly waiting for other people and that those people just don't get something done when you expect them to. So, let me go through some of the steps that I'd definitely consider when it comes to preventing this or not allowing this to get in the way of any of the work that you do. So, number one, create buffers. So what do I mean by that? If, for example, some deadline is 1 p.m. on a Monday, ask for something at 2 p.m. on a Friday, so you have time to scramble um, if that person can't do it or that person lets you down. Okay, so that's just the first thing to consider. Number one, don't give, obviously you can tell them the deadline, but you can, there's no need to lie or misrepresent, but you can create interim deadlines. I've got to get it to the client by 2 p.m. Monday, so I need to get it from you by 3 p.m. Friday because there's going to be a revision process or Q&A process. So that could be an example, but creating buffers in general gives you time for feedback, but also gives you time to scramble. That's the first thing. The second thing is regular check-ins with said person. Now, again, remember, this is on the basis of someone who's let you down once, okay? So regular check-ins with said person, during the, let's call it during the creation process. So if someone's going to do something for you and it's due Friday, you'd expect like an update every couple of days, probably sooner, just a quick check-in. So that's great. I would always consider that. The next thing is, you know, have so for example, so having shared access to where the work is happening means, for example, if they're creating it in a Google Doc, then you can look through, check in whenever you want, and say, no, this is going completely the wrong way. So let's let's adjust. Okay. So that's also going to be powerful. Someone suddenly falls ill, and you're like, I don't even know what work they've done because I don't have access to it. So you need to have access to the documentation that people use and they're creating and updating, because then no matter what happens, you can take over, if that makes sense. So creating buffers, regular check-ins during the creation process, shared access to where the work is happening. And if people have let you down, ask them to, sometimes it's just asking them to make sure they don't do this again. Um, Finding out why they let you down to see if you can help remedy it. So, for example, asking them to make sure they don't do this again. Sometimes asking and saying, "Please don't do this again" to me, Deepak. You really screwed me, or you screwed the pooch when it came to the meeting. We looked like idiots because you let me down last minute, and I had to scramble and cover. So that's something that you can just ask, and that generally creates a positive response. Finding out why that person let you down and trying to remedy it. So, for example, if they're like, "Oh, you know what? Getting on a call with someone, sharing screen and looking at their process is actually quite powerful depending upon the person. You might find that they've got a slow machine that makes everything slow, that they've got an ineffective way of using their workstation. You might find that they've got several different responsibilities, so they've been pulled in different ways. You might find that someone else said something else is more important, and you might go to that person. So if they've got so there's a whole bunch of suggestions that might mean the person keeps letting you down, but because they're getting pulled in other ways, and then you can go to that other person and say, look, give Deepak, don't give Deepak as much for this week. This is an important deadline, and I just don't want him to be distracted. Is that possible? So that's just something else. The next thing is, if all of this isn't working, then you can, raise it with management or whoever's upstairs. So what I mean by that, well, you know what? Before we get to that, actually, you can, and that would be, let's say, number 7. So you can ask around, find out if there's something you don't know. So if someone keeps letting you down, maybe there's something that's going on in their personal life that you're not aware of. Maybe there's some other issue. So you could ask the people around them. Yeah, is everything okay with Richard? He kind of dropped the ball on 2 deadlines, and it's unlike him, or it's just he said he'd get them to me. Do you know anything? And you might find out things that you're not aware of, or discover ways to help them. So asking around to find out if there's something you don't know is a pretty powerful way of trying to figure out the problem. Raising it with management, whoever's upstairs, is always kind of a bit of a, it's not a last resort, but it can be if, for example, just somewhat you've tried all of this, and none of it's working, and you would do this in the instance, having a backup plan is always important. So depending upon what it is, and that could be, the backup plan could be someone else who can help, right? Or just doing it yourself. Okay, depending upon what the work is. Like, I know what the work is. I asked Deepak to do it. Deepak didn't get it done. He let me down, but screw it, I'm going to just do it myself. So that's something that you could always consider. And generally, if it is something you can do yourself, then I do believe in cross-functional teams at Pearl 11. Where you can, you should have the ability to do it yourself in the last minute instance that someone screwed it. So I do think that that's important. So that's something that you should be prepared to understand. Raising it in management, whoever's upstairs, if any of these things aren't working, that's just again not quite the final one. I'd say the next thing is that if it happens more than twice, you should know better yourself. Oh, so fool me once, shame on fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, fool me thrice, shame on both of us, something like that. I don't know, but basically, if it happens more than twice, if it happens twice, you should know better. You should know better to just basically work with someone else or take a different path if it consistently keeps happening. And then number 9 is raising it with management or whoever's senior to say, look, what can we do? Do we need to rehire? Do I need to do something else? Like, what's the steps? What's the process? But there you go, guys. These are the 9 steps you can take when people keep letting you down, and this really should allow you to solve things without even getting to number 9 potentially, unless that person is just generally not of the standard, like incompetent, not of the standard that we need at Pearl Lemon. Then you absolutely should raise it with management. And if you think that quite soon into the process, then share it. There might be ways to help this person. Generally, people here should have a high level of ability, a good work ethic. When they don't, it'll become quickly apparent. But people do with a high level of work ethic can really catch up with anything. But yeah, these are the 9 things to do when people keep letting you down.